We are continuing on Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim in Chot Shabbat, and we are up to Siman Shin Bet, Seif Bet of the Mishna Berura Shulchan Aruch. It's on Daf Pei Vav Amud Bet of the regular prints of your Mishna Beruras. The Shulchan Aruch writes, "Halokeach yabolet she'al gabe bigadim, kegon elu hayabodot shebichle semer hanish'arim bahem min ha'ariga, chayav mishum makeh bepatish." If a person completes the work of making a garment by even something very, very side, not really part of the sewing process itself, but imagine if you have a new garment that there are strings attached to it still from the sewing process, and you're kind of like snipping those little strings that are left over, or back in the day when they had a process of woven garments, the weaving process by itself would sometimes leave small balls of threads that are attached to the garment, and separating that from the garment is kind of finishing the process of creation of this beged, and that is makeh bepatish. So therefore, lokeach yabolet, says the Chafetz Chaim Mishna Berura, lashon yabelet sheperusho gaf shushid v'adin kashin ksamin, any other item that by mistake got woven in or sewed up together with the garment, asur, it's prohibited to take them off. Shene'ergu bebeged beli mitkavin, even though that it was not even meant to be there. Dinan ki yabelet, it would be the same halacha, that taking them off would be finishing up the job of making this garment and would be makeh bepatish. Says the Chafetz Chaim, ve'uadin de'asur la'asir ha'shalal shekorin string vene שעושים החייטים בתחילת התפילה כדי לחבר החתוכים ואפשר לחיוב נמי יש בזה. The tailors, when they are sewing up two pieces together and they have to be consistent, that to be justified at the end together, they will make a little tchiva, a little stitch, so to speak, in the beginning, and a little stitch at the end. Then now you could sew up the two pieces aligned together, and at the end, then you'll kind of like obviously snip and cut off that stitch that you made in the beginning. Cutting that stitch off at the end is part of the sewing process, finishing up the garment, and that would be done usually at the end when the garment is finished. That would be, now, does that mean anything about the suits that you buy now? It's actually a good season before Yom Tov. Buy suits and the flaps in the back are kind of like in a stitch together. Or how about the tags that are the price tags, all kinds of tags that you have in new garments? Can I take those off? Is that considered part of finishing up the job of the garment or not? That's going to be the discussion over here. Mishum makeh bepatish, says the Mishna Berura, kol ha'oseh davar shal yidei zeh nigmar ha'melacha. Anything that you do that finishes up a melacha, finishes up a job, one of the 39 melach, chayav mishum makeh bepatish. You'll be obligated. You're transgressing makeh bepatish, ken derech ha'uman la'akot bepatish al kli acher shenigmar la'ashvod. Why is this called makeh bepatish? Because in the process of making metal vessels, when you are actually have heated up metal and you are banging it with a special hammer, hammering down the uneven surfaces, at the very end they always finish it with a little bang, and the last part that has to be evened out, and that is like the finishing job. That's the bang, right? So I'm not sure if that's the reason that by court cases also you have a makeh bepatish. Really, at the end when you want to paskin the halacha, you get the makeh bepatish. So that is kind of like used. That verbiage is used for finishing up any melacha on Shabbat. That would be asur d'oraita. Now says the Mishna Berura. Well, before we go to the next piece of Mishna Berura, one important thing here is that if you have, let's say, the talit, that you want to get a new talit, so you just put tzitziot on your talit, and it's fresh, brand new, right? And all the tzitziot are, tangled into one another. Now you want to open the entanglement of the tzitziot. That would become actually a problem, of perhaps makeh patish. You should not be opening it on Shabbat. This is again a stira in Rosh, Benish Chais, and so on and so forth, without getting into this with too much details. That would be the halacha. But if you did before Shabbat, you already separated them before Shabbat, nice, good, you're ready to go, and then they went back and got entangled, that you could open up on Shabbat, even though that Ben Ish Chai writes that even then you should not be doing it. Again, this is something that Chomadia is more lenient, and Rabbi Zion Abbas Shaul actually writes that it depends really how entangled they are. If it's a little bit like regular tzitziot, they become a little tangled together, that's mutar. But if it's mamash, like tied together and it's too complicated, then it's not something that you want to do necessarily on Shabbat. Now says the Shulchan Aruch over here. This is only when you are very specific about them. If you're not really specific, you just, you're just playing with it, you take it off. It's not something on your mind really. You don't care so much about that little thing that's extra. That, says the Shulchan Aruch, already would be patur. Patur means midoraita, you're off the hook, but still would be asur. So says the Mishna Berura on this. Why is it that you're chayav? Because you are taking these balls or this strings that are left attached to the garment very mindfully. You don't like it the way it is, and you are taking them off because you want to beautify your garment, your suit, whatever it is. It's not that you're just playing around, not even thinking about it. Even though that you still would wear this garment with the strings attached, still, if you really want them off, still would be a isur d'oraita, will be a prohibition from the Torah itself. But says the Chafetz Chaim, Im lo haya mesirav chayav mishum dehacha heve melachat tefema hayde Seif Aleph. This is still going to be worse than what we had in Seif Aleph. V'lachen eno patur ela b'mitasek. You're only patur when you are doing it, not thinking really about it. And the Rambam writes, Haminaer talit chadasha shchora. Back to the Seif Aleph that we had, that if you shake off a black new talit, a garment, in order to beautify it, and to take off the white things that are attached to it or sitting on it, just like the professionals do, that also is makeh patish. If you're not makpid, is mutar. Now, the Ben Ish Chai writes, it's especially like if you have a garment that you buy from back in the day, the Chayatim, in their tailor house, they had all kinds of strings flying all over the place. And you got the new thing that you buy, it naturally has some of these things, attached to it. So you shake it off nicely, and all those different colors of strings that are caught onto it, they will fall off. That, the Rambam writes, also could be makeh patish. So that's what the reason it says Ben Ish Chai, that even if you have like something white on your suit sitting on it, it's not even attached, to take it off on Shabbat would be a question really is coming from, is built upon this Rambam over here, and says the Chafetz Chaim, the continuation of this Rambam is, Im eno makpid mutar. If you're not makpid on it, it's mutar. Ad kan devarav. V'u perush makpid le'inyan ze gamken. What does it mean? What's the taich of your makpid, your specific? Kol shekavarato kedei le'afot. Any time that you want to beautify your thing, even though that you would have worn it without this also, but you really want it off. You really want it off. You want to beautify your garment. That would be considered already mitkaven. That would be already considered makpid, and therefore it would be obviously asur. So that's the basic halacha that the Shulchan Aruch brings from the Rambam, even though that Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef in Yaakov Yosef writes in the name of Chacham Obadia, his father, that even if your kavanah is to make it nice, right? You want to shake it off a little bit and clean it up a little bit, right? He writes, "She'afilu im kavanato leyafot habeged, mutar kol she'enu makpid lo shokach." Says as long as you would be okay wearing it the way it is right now, it would be fine, even if you are makpid. And he says that this is muchach in the Gemara. You see it clearly from the case in the Gemara, and that's what the Achronim write as well. This is something that the Mazuz and his Talmidim write in their Mishna Berura, in the Mishna Berura Ish Matzliach over here, and it's brought really in Kol Sinai in the Halachot of Makeh B'Patish as well. So that basically completes our Seif over here. One last piece that Maran says you are patur. If you are doing it kimit asek, you're not really thinking, you're just doing it kimit asek, you're patur. The Shabru brings from Sefer HaZichronot that brings that this is still asur. The isur yesh bazeh. Midrabanan still is asur, and he brings from Halachot Gedolot that if you have different flax seeds and so on, that they got into the fabric of your garment, or you have different particles of food that got mixed with your garment, mutar lekalefo. You could peel them off. You could peel them off, and yired imu beged chadash. But says the Mishna Berura, if it is a new beged and it's black, it's dark, eno mutar lekalefo, then you cannot peel it off. Rak be'ero makpid. Only if you are not that makpid on it, then you could be mekalef. Ve'imhu lach mekanecho besmartut. But if it's wet, you could, it's still not dried up, you could kind of like wipe it down with a smartut, with a wipe, with a garment, another cloth, as we will discuss B'ezrat Hashem in the upcoming Seifim. So that concludes our Seif Bet over here, and B'ezrat Hashem we will discuss the next Seif in the days to come.